We are living through the greatest misunderstanding in modern history. If you sit down at a dinner table today, you will feel it. There is a Cold War brewing between the generations. On one side, you have the boomers, a generation that rode the biggest economic wave in human history. On the other, you have Gen Z, a generation that is statistically working harder, earning less, and drowning in debt before they can even legally drink. But today, we aren't going to talk about feelings.
We aren't going to talk about work ethic. We are going to talk about math. Because when you actually run the numbers, when you look at what it costs to simply exist in 2024 versus 1980, you realize something terrifying. The American dream isn't just difficult to achieve right now. For millions of young people, it is mathematically impossible.
This is the story of how the economic machine broke, why your degree became a trap, why houses became impossible to buy, and why your family dinner conversations feel like a battlefield. Welcome to the Great Disconnect. Let's start with the most fundamental rule of capitalism, the input-output formula. For decades, the deal was simple. If you work harder and produce more stuff, you get paid more money. It makes sense, right? From 1948 until about 1979, this formula worked perfectly. Productivity and wages grew together. If a company made more profit, the workers took home fatter paychecks. It was the golden age of the middle class. A single income could buy a house, 2 cars, and a vacation. But then, something happened. The line split. Since 1979, American productivity has increased by roughly 62%. We have better technology, we work faster, and we are more efficient than any humans in history. But hourly pay? It has barely budged, adjusting for inflation. Think about what this means for a 24-year-old today.
They are doing the work of 3 1980s employees, managing social media, answering emails at 9 p.m., navigating complex software, but they are earning a smaller slice of the pie. So where did all that extra money go? It didn't disappear. It went to the top. CEO compensation has grown by over 1,000% since 1978. So when a boomer says, "I worked my way up from the mailroom," they aren't lying. That was possible in their version of the simulation. But telling a Gen Z kid to do the same thing is like telling someone to win a race where the finish line keeps moving backward. And the floor has fallen out too. The federal minimum wage hasn't gone up in over a decade. In 1980, you could pay for a semester of college with a summer job flipping burgers. Today, you would have to flip burgers for 4,000 hours to pay for that same degree. That's not a summer job. That's 2 years of full-time work with 0 expenses.
The formula isn't just harder, it's broken. But okay, let's say you do hustle. You get the side gig. You save every penny. You want to buy a piece of the American dream, a home. Well, welcome to the housing crisis, or as I like to call it, the wall. In the 1980s, the median home cost about 3 to 4 times the median annual household income. It was a stretch, but it was doable. You saved for a few years, you put 20% down, and you were a homeowner.
Today, in many major cities, a home costs 8, 10, or even 12 times the median income. Let me put this in perspective. If housing prices had stayed consistent with inflation since 1970, the average home in America would cost roughly $177,000 today. Instead, the average is nearly $420,000. Why? It's not because houses are suddenly made of gold. We stopped building enough starter homes because they aren't profitable for developers. Meanwhile, massive investment firms started buying up single-family neighborhoods to turn them into permanent rentals. This creates a vicious cycle. Boomers need home prices to stay high because their retirement is tied up in their home equity. But Gen Z needs prices to crash so they can afford to live. It is a direct economic conflict of interest between parents and their children.
So, Gen Z is forced into the rental trap. They pay 50% of their income to a landlord, which makes it impossible to save for a down payment. They are paying off someone else's mortgage instead of their own. It's like running on a treadmill while someone else eats your lunch.
Now, you might be thinking, if you can't afford a house, get a better job. Ah, yes, the degree, the golden ticket, or at least it used to be. College tuition has inflated by over 1,200% since 1980. That is double the rate of healthcare inflation and 4 times the rate of the CPI. Here is the tragedy. Gen Z was raised by boomers and Gen X who told them, you must go to college. It wasn't presented as a choice, it was presented as survival.
So 18-year-olds who need permission to go to the bathroom in high school signed legal documents borrowing tens of thousands of dollars. In the past, you could be an office manager or an executive assistant with a high school diploma. Today, those entry-level jobs require a bachelor's degree. We have normalized requiring a $60,000 education for a $40,000 job. And the interest rates? They are predatory.
I've spoken to people who have paid on their loans for 10 years and owe more today than when they started. This acts as a drag on the entire economy. That $400 or $600 a month that Gen Z spends on loan payments, that's money that isn't going into local businesses. It's not going into savings. It's not going into the stock market. It is money being incinerated into the void of debt servicing. Gen Z isn't starting at zero.
They are starting at negative $30,000.
But let's zoom in on the daily life, the little things, because it's not just the big-ticket items like houses and tuition. Since 2020, we have seen inflation that feels personal. Grocery bills are up 25%. Used car prices spiked 40%. Car insurance is skyrocketing. Boomers often point to luxuries as the problem. They see a young person with an iPhone and a Netflix subscription and say, see? Let's do the math on that. A Netflix subscription is $15. An iPhone amortized over 2 years is maybe $40 a month. That's $55. Do you know what $55 buys you in the housing market? Absolutely nothing. The latte factor is a myth designed to shame poor people. You could skip coffee every single day for 50 years and you still wouldn't have enough for a down payment in Los Angeles or New York.
Gen Z buys little luxuries like coffee or video games because the big luxuries, like children and homes, are out of reach. It's a coping mechanism, not the cause of their poverty.
All of this economic pressure culminates in one specific place, the family home. We are seeing a massive rise in multi-generational households. Failure to launch is the term often thrown around. But is it failure or is it adaptation? This situation breeds resentment on both sides. The parents feel like their retirement freedom is being delayed. They look at their kid and think, at your age, I had 2 kids and a mortgage. And the kid looks back and thinks, I am doing everything right and I'm still stuck. Gen Z is the most connected generation digitally, but the most isolated physically. Why? Because third places are dying. A third place is a spot that isn't work and isn't home. Churches, community centers, cheap diners. Places where you can exist without spending money. Those are gone. To leave your house in 2024 costs $30. So Gen Z stays inside.
They socialize on Discord and TikTok because it's free. Do you see the cycle?
Corporations hate this term. They want you to think it means laziness. But let's reframe it. Quiet quitting is actually just doing your job. It's doing exactly what you were paid for and no more. For boomers, going above and beyond usually meant a promotion, a raise, or a pension. The loyalty was rewarded. For Gen Z, going above and beyond usually just means more work. If you are efficient, you get punished with your coworker's workload.
Loyalty is dead because companies killed it. They cut pensions, they kept wages low, and they lay people off via Zoom. That's not laziness. That is a rational market response to a bad deal. So, where do we go from here? The first step is to stop the gaslighting. We need to acknowledge that the economic landscape has shifted tectonically. We are looking at a structural failure. The social contract, the promise that hard work equals security, has been breached. But there is hope. Gen Z is resilient. They are rewriting the rules. They are prioritizing mental health over burnout. They are questioning the need for useless consumption. They are finding community online in ways we don't fully understand yet. They aren't quiet quitting life. They are quitting a game that was rigged against them from the start, and they are trying to design a new one. And for the boomers watching this, the next time you see your kid or grandkid struggling, put down the calculator.
Don't tell them about your summer job in 1975, because they are fighting a war you never had to fight.
If you felt seen by this video, or if you completely disagree, I want to hear from you. Are you a boomer who thinks I'm wrong? Are you a Gen Zer living in your car? Leave a comment below. The algorithm loves a debate, but I actually love the stories. We talk about the economy, psychology, and the weird world we live in every week, so hit that subscribe button if you want to stay educated.